Her mother slid the napkin into my hand like she was passing me a church bulletin. No smile, no explanation. Just 5 words written in blue ink that made the whole graduation party tilt sideways. Tell him before Boston does. I was standing beside a folding table loaded with cupcakes, sweating through a blue button-down in the middle of June, while my girlfriend laughed 10 feet away in a white dress and a crooked graduation cap she had absolutely no intention of taking off. Her name was Maya Ellis, and until that exact moment I had believed, genuinely, foolishly believed, that I knew where we were headed. My name is Owen Carter. I was 29 at the time, old enough to understand that love was not supposed to function as a guessing game, but young enough to keep telling myself I was fine when it did. I worked as a project coordinator for a construction company in Nashville, which meant I spent the majority of my days resolving problems that had begun with someone, somewhere, confidently announcing that something should only take 5 minutes. Maya had just finished her master's degree in public health, 2 years of night classes, clinical rotations, last-minute study sessions that ended somewhere around 3 in the morning, and a stubborn belief that instant ramen technically qualified as a nutritious dinner if you added a handful of spinach on top. I had watched her build herself up, piece by piece, through every one of those nights. I had seen her cry once briefly over a statistics exam, and then make herself a cup of tea and open her laptop again. I had watched her earn every single inch of that afternoon. So when she invited me to her graduation party at her parents' house, I showed up with flowers, a card I'd rewritten 3 times, and a small silver necklace tucked into the inside pocket of my jacket. Not a proposal, nothing that serious, not yet. Just a thin little pendant shaped like a compass, because Maya had told me once, half asleep in my truck after a late movie, that she didn't need someone to carry her anywhere. She just wanted someone who could find her when she disappeared into her own head. That was Maya. Funny and brilliant and stubborn, in the specific way of someone who had figured most things out on her own and wasn't entirely sure she trusted anyone else to help. Occasionally very difficult to locate emotionally, without the strategic application of snacks and patience. And standing in that backyard in her white dress with her crooked cap and a plastic cup of lemonade. Exactly the person I had been quietly and completely failing not to fall in love with for 10 months. She caught me watching her from across the yard and raised one eyebrow. I mouthed. "Your hat is crooked," she mouthed back. "Your face is crooked." Then she smiled. And there it was, the thing that had been slowly ruining me since the second month. Not a polished smile, not the one she aimed at rooms full of people. A real one. The kind that arrived before she could think better of it. The kind that made the rest of her face catch up and follow. The kind that made me feel like I had been specifically selected for something. Maya crossed the grass with 2 plastic cups of lemonade and handed one over. "You're doing the thing again," she said. "What thing?" Standing like a security guard at a royal wedding, very upright, very suspicious of the shrubbery. "I'm observing. You're hiding from my Aunt Carol." "I am surviving your Aunt Carol." She asked me if I had strong ankles. Maya took a long, solemn sip of her lemonade. "She's evaluating your structural integrity." It's a compliment in her language. That is not a phrase I needed associated with my person before I've had dessert. She likes you. She glanced at my legs with great seriousness. She respects load-bearing capacity. I nearly lost the lemonade entirely. She laughed, one of those real ones again, and bumped her shoulder into my arm. And for a moment the entire party dissolved into sunlight and paper plates and the warm vanilla thread of her perfume. She leaned in close enough that the tassel of her graduation cap brushed against my jaw. "Thank you for being here," she said. Quietly enough that it was only for me. Where else would I be? Her eyes softened. And then something moved through them, a shadow, quick and practiced, there and gone before most people would have caught it. I caught it. I had been catching things like that for weeks. Maya going quiet whenever July came up in conversation. Maya redirecting whenever I asked about job applications. Maya holding on a few seconds longer some nights, the way you hold onto a room before you leave it for the last time and you already know it but aren't ready to say so. I told myself not to push. She had worked 2 years for this day. She deserved to stand in her parents' backyard in her crooked cap and feel nothing but celebrated. She didn't need me dragging my anxious habits into the middle of it. My last serious relationship, Hannah, had ended without warning or conversation. She had packed while I was at work and left her key under the pot of the one plant. We had somehow managed to keep alive longer than the relationship itself. I had come home to an apartment that smelled like her shampoo and contained none of her things. And I had stood in the doorway for longer than I'd like to admit before I understood what I was looking at. Ever since I had developed the specific and inconvenient habit of treating silence like a crime scene, looking for evidence, cataloging details, Maya knew that about me. She also knew I hated being quietly managed, which is exactly why the note felt like a lit match dropped into dry grass. Her mother, Denise, appeared at my elbow right after Maya got pulled away by one of her professors. Denise Ellis was a composed woman with silver-streaked hair, sharp cheekbones, and the precise calm of someone who could simultaneously produce a casserole and conduct a deposition. She dressed like she had made a considered decision about every item on her person that morning and was not interested in revisiting any of them. "Owen," she said. "Denise. Great party." She was looking out across the yard toward Maya. "She's worked very hard. She has." Denise folded a napkin once, then folded it again with the deliberate neatness of someone who needed to do something with their hands. Then she pressed it into my palm. I assumed, reasonably, that it was a reminder to help bring out more ice, or perhaps a grocery list, or one of those family communication systems where everyone in the house is apparently already looped in except the boyfriend. Then she walked away. I opened it. Because if someone hands you a folded napkin at a party thrown in honor of your girlfriend, curiosity is not a moral failing. It is fundamental human wiring. Tell him before Boston does. I read it once. Then again, more slowly, the way you reread something when you're hoping the meaning might be different the second time. Boston. Maya had mentioned Boston exactly once, 6 months earlier, over tacos in my kitchen on a Tuesday night. She had said there was a fellowship there she used to think about applying for, back when that kind of dreaming still felt like a reasonable use of mental energy. I had asked if she still wanted it. She had shrugged with the easy carelessness of someone who had made peace with something, said I want a lot of things, and then leaned over and stole my last tortilla chip and moved on to an entirely different subject. I had let her. Now her mother's note sat in my palm like documentation of a conversation I had not been invited to. I looked up. Denise had stopped near the patio door, and in the moment she turned back to check, she saw me, saw the napkin open in my hand, saw my face, and her expression did something complicated and silent. Her mouth parted slightly. She had not intended for me to read it. I hadn't been the one it was written for. Before I could process any further, Maya appeared at my side and slid her fingers through mine in the easy, unthinking way she always did, like it was simply where her hand belonged. "There you are," she said, leaning her head briefly toward my shoulder. "Dad's about to make a toast, and if I'm not holding onto something solid, I'm going to float directly out of my body." Her hand was warm, familiar. Built on 10 months of trust I had not yet decided what to do with. I closed my fingers around the napkin. Maya glanced down. "What's that?" "Nothing." The word came out a half-second too fast. Her smile shifted. Not gone, just slightly different, slightly careful. She noticed. Maya always noticed. That was the first crack. The second came when her father tapped a spoon against a glass, and the crowd gathered on the patio with their drinks and their plates. Maya stayed close, our hands still linked, but I could feel the tension in her grip now, subtle, deliberate. The way a person holds on when they suspect something is coming and haven't decided how to meet it. Her father started speaking. He talked about discipline and sacrifice, and the time a 7-year-old Maya had attempted to vaccinate her stuffed rabbit with a mechanical pencil on the grounds that prevention was more efficient than treatment. The yard laughed. Maya tipped her chin toward me. "You okay?" she murmured. I looked at her. At the loose curl pressed against her cheek in the heat, at the small gold studs in her ears. At the woman I was somewhere past the point of admitting I loved in any way that would be easy to walk back from. I wanted to ask her right there. I wanted to say, "Boston, really? Were you planning to mention an entire other city after the cake?" But her father's voice broke slightly on the word proud, and Maya's eyes filled at exactly that moment, and I was not going to be the one to put any shadow on that. I squeezed her hand. She squeezed mine back. Her father raised his glass. "To Maya," he said, "and to the incredible opportunity waiting for her next month." The yard went quiet for a fraction of a second, not because anyone was surprised. Because I was, and it must have come off me like a frequency. Her father's glass stayed raised. Maya's fingers went perfectly still inside mine. That was how I knew, not from her face. Maya had a face specifically engineered for emergencies. Smooth, composed, almost bored. I had seen it when someone sideswiped her car in a parking lot. I had seen it when a professor lost half her final project and tried to make it her problem. I had seen it when a restaurant brought her cilantro after she had communicated, clearly and multiple times, that cilantro tasted like soap and personal betrayal, but her hand gave her away. It didn't pull from mine. It froze. "To Boston," her father continued, beaming with the confidence of a man who believed he was simply confirming what the room already knew. "To the Whitcomb Fellowship, and to the people brilliant enough to recognize what the rest of us figured out a long time ago." Applause broke around us. Maya's Aunt Carol produced a sound that could only be described as a whoop. Someone called for a speech. Her mother stood at the back of the crowd, with one hand pressed over her mouth, looking like a woman who had watched a thing go exactly as wrong as she had feared it would. I clapped, because my body had retained enough social muscle memory to carry me through situations my brain had completely vacated. Maya didn't clap. She turned and looked at me. "Owen," she said, barely above a breath. I wanted to be the version of myself who could smile right then. The version who could say, "Congratulations, I'm proud of you, we'll figure it out," and mean all three things equally. And part of me was proud. That part was real. Maya had worked herself down to bone for an opportunity like this, and if the people at the Whitcomb Fellowship had recognized what I saw in her every day, the relentlessness, the precision, the absolute refusal to do anything halfway, then they had excellent judgment. But another part of me was standing in a backyard full of people, with a secret I had learned from a napkin while everyone else apparently already knew. "Congratulations," I said. The word came out flat, uninflected. She heard it, her eyes flinched. That hurt worse than the note had. People descended on her then, arms and voices and excitement, cousins and professors and neighbors all surging forward. She was carried away from me by it, and I let her go because I was not going to make anything of myself at her graduation party. I took a step back, and then another, until my shoulders met the trunk of an old maple tree at the edge of the yard. The napkin was still folded in my fist. Denise found me there 3 minutes later. "I'm sorry," she said. I didn't look at her. "Were you warning me or warning her? That note was meant for Maya. That doesn't make it a better thing to receive." "No." A pause. "It doesn't." Across the yard, Maya laughed at something one of her cousins said. It was convincing, a little too convincing, slightly ahead of the joke by half a beat. I had heard her real laugh enough times to know the difference. Denise followed my line of sight. She was going to tell you. When? She didn't answer quickly enough. I nodded once. Right, Owen, she hesitated. She loves you. The words arrived somewhere between my chest and my sternum because Maya had not said that. I had not said it either. We had been circling it for weeks, maybe longer, living inside the implication of it without ever putting a name to it out loud. It existed in the extra toothbrush. She'd stopped asking permission to leave at my place. In the way she knew, without being told, which side of the couch I preferred and exactly how strong I took my coffee. In the fact that I had started buying oatmeal at the grocery store, even though oatmeal tasted to me like warm paste. Because she liked to stir a spoonful into her coffee on slow mornings, and it made her look unreasonably content. We had not said it. And her mother had just said it for her, at a graduation party, to the wrong person, in the wrong order. Denise seemed to register what she had done a full second after it was done. I shouldn't have, no, I said. You probably shouldn't have. I walked away before she could offer me anything else. Not toward the front gate, not yet. I followed the edge of the yard around to the side of the house, where the noise of the party softened behind a row of hydrangeas tall enough to stand in front of and be briefly invisible. Maya's parents had strung small glass lights along the fence posts, the kind on thin wire that you only notice up close. Meant for later in the evening when the sun went down, and they'd finally have a reason to glow. They swayed faintly in the June breeze, waiting on the dark. I was standing there looking at them when Maya came around the corner. She had taken off the graduation cap. Her hair fell loose over one shoulder, dark and slightly damp at the temples from the heat, and her cheeks were flushed from the sun, or from the last 10 minutes, or from both at once. You disappeared, she said. I moved 15 FT. That counts when you look like you're about to politely demolish a shed. I almost smiled, almost. She hugged her arms around herself. Can we talk? I held up the napkin, her eyes closed. Maya, I know, do you? Yes, her voice cracked. Yes, Owen, I know. The anger in me wanted clean lines. It wanted one simple betrayal, one obvious villain. But Maya stood there looking scared and gorgeous and miserable, and all I could think was that I wanted to touch her face. That made me angrier. How long? I asked. I got the offer 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks? In 3 weeks she had slept in my bed 6 times. We had gone to a farmer's market. We had argued playfully over whether banana pudding counted as pudding or structural dessert. She had kissed me in the rain outside a pharmacy because I bought her cold medicine at midnight. 3 weeks. And you said yes. She swallowed. I asked for time. How much time? Until Monday. Today was Saturday. I laughed once without humor, so the plan was what? Tell me after everyone else toasted your future. No, she stepped closer. The plan was to tell you tonight after the party alone. That sounds convenient. It sounds cowardly, she said, and the honesty stopped me, because it was. I was being a coward. I looked away. She moved closer again, close enough that I could smell vanilla and lemonade on her breath. I didn't hide it because you don't matter. I hid it because you matter too much. That is a terrible defense. I know, like legally useless. A tiny devastated laugh escaped her. I know. I hated how badly I wanted to laugh with her. Maya reached for my hand then stopped before touching me. May I? That undid something in me. The asking, the respect in it, the way she knew I might say no and was giving me room to. I opened my hand. She laced her fingers through mine. I didn't know how to want Boston and want you at the same time, she said. And I do, I want both. The yard noise faded again. She looked up at me, eyes wet now. You're the first man who ever made my future feel bigger instead of smaller. And then this came and I panicked because I thought if I told you, you'd hear I'm leaving you. What should I hear? That I'm terrified you won't choose me if choosing me gets complicated. There it was. Not an excuse, a fear. And it matched mine so closely I almost couldn't breathe. I thought of Hannah's key under the plant, of coming home to absence, of all the ways I had promised myself I would never again be the last person to know my own life was changing. "I'm not him," Maya said quietly. I blinked. She squeezed my hand. "Whoever taught you that love means getting blindsided, I'm not her. But today I acted like I was and I'm sorry." My throat tightened. "You should have told me," I said. "I know. I would have been proud of you. I know, and scared. I know that too." I looked at her then, really looked. The dress, the trembling mouth, the woman who could have defended herself but chose to stand in front of me with the truth instead. "I am proud of you," I said. Her face crumpled a little. I pulled her into my arms before I could overthink it. She came willingly, fiercely, wrapping both arms around my waist and pressing her forehead to my chest. I held her there in the side yard while her family celebrated 10 yards away. "I'm still mad," I murmured into her hair. "I'd be worried if you weren't. You're not allowed to be funny when I'm wounded. I'm sorry, I'll be dull and repentant. Impossible. You're wearing honor's cords." She laughed against my shirt and I felt it all the way through me. Then she lifted her face. For one suspended second, we just looked at each other. Hurt still between us. Fear too, but also something warmer, older than the fight and stronger than the secret. Maya touched my jaw. "Please don't leave before we finish talking." "I won't." Her thumb brushed my cheek. "Promise," I nodded. "I promise." She kissed me then, not a party kiss, not a quick public peck. A quiet, trembling kiss full of apology and need. Her fingers curling into my shirt as if I were something she refused to let the tide take. I kissed her back because I was angry, yes. But I was also hers in ways I had been pretending were casual. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "I love you," she whispered. The words landed softly. Still, they changed everything. Before I could answer, her phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced down and the color drained from her face. The screen showed one message from an unknown Boston number. "Congratulations again, Maya. Can't wait to see you Monday. Don't bring him." For a second, neither of us moved. The party kept going without us. Laughter over the fence, ice clinking in plastic cups. Someone begging Maya's father not to tell the stuffed rabbit story again. But in the side yard, Maya's phone might as well have been a flare. "Don't bring him." I looked from the screen to her face. "Who is that?" "I don't know." Her voice was too quick. "Maya." She pulled her phone closer to her chest, not hiding it exactly, but protecting herself from the weight of it. "I mean, I don't know the number. That's not what I asked." She shut her eyes. "His name is Callum Reeves." There are moments when jealousy arrives like a cartoon villain, all ridiculous cape and mustache. This wasn't that. This was colder, quieter. "Callum," I repeated. "He's not." She stopped and started again. "He was in my undergrad program. We dated for a while." "How long is a while?" "A year." I nodded like that didn't punch a neat hole through my chest. "He works with the Whitcomb Fellowship now," she said. "Not as my supervisor. More like alumni relations, recruitment, donor events. He's the person who called to tell me I was a finalist. And he knows about me." Her mouth twisted. "Unfortunately, yes." "Why unfortunately?" "Because Callum has a talent for making every room feel like a chessboard and every person feel like a piece he can move." I looked down at the message again. The words sat there, smug and intimate. "Congratulations again, Maya. Can't wait to see you Monday. Don't bring him." I hated him immediately, which was satisfying but unhelpful. Maya touched my wrist. "Owen, look at me." I did. "I didn't hide Boston because of him. Okay? You don't believe me. I'm trying to. That's fair." Her fingers slid down until they found mine again. "He's part of why I panicked, but not in the way you're thinking." "What way am I thinking?" "That I still have feelings for him." I said nothing. Her eyes sharpened. "I don't." The certainty in her voice mattered. It didn't fix everything, but it gave me somewhere to stand. She took a breath. "Callum was charming at first. The kind of charming that makes you feel like being chosen by him proves something about you. Then slowly everything became a test. My clothes were too loud. My laugh was too much. My goals were adorable until they inconvenienced him. My anger shifted shape. I was 21, she said. I thought love meant becoming easier to approve of. The words hurt because I could see it. Maya dimmed, edited, softened at the edges for a man who liked owning the light. He told me public health was noble but small. She continued. When I got into grad school, he said I'd probably quit after one semester because I liked praise more than work. I let out a breath. He sounds like a disease with good hair. Maya blinked, then she laughed. It came out broken at first, then real, and the sound loosened the knot in my chest. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. I'm sorry, I said. Was that too medical? No, it was extremely accurate. She wiped under one eye. And petty. I enjoyed it. I contain multitudes. You contain jealous construction manager energy, coordinator, jealous coordinator energy. I am not jealous. Owen, I am appropriately hostile. Her smile faded into something tender. She stepped closer until the tips of her shoes touched mine. You're allowed to be jealous, just don't decide who I am because of who he was. That landed, not gently. I had been doing exactly that. Taking Hannah's leaving, Callum's message, Maya's silence, and stacking them into one ugly tower. I'm sorry, I said. She looked surprised. I'm mad that you didn't tell me, I continued. But I don't want to punish you for being scared. Her fingers tightened around mine. And I don't want to stand here pretending I'm above jealousy when some guy named Callum just texted you like a villain in loafers. Her mouth curved. He does wear loafers. Of course he does. Maya leaned forward and rested her forehead against my chest again, this time not hiding, choosing. I love you, she whispered like she was reminding me. My heart turned over. I had left her words hanging when the text came in. I knew it. She knew it. The whole side yard seemed to know it. I cupped the back of her head and bent my mouth near her ear. I love you too. She went still. Then she pulled back just enough to look at me. Her eyes were wide, wet, furious with hope. Don't say that because I'm crying in a hydrangea alley. I'm saying it because I've been carrying a compass necklace in my jacket all afternoon and acting like that was a normal friend level. Purchase, her lips parted. You bought me a necklace. It was supposed to be after cake. Very romantic. No ex-boyfriend cameo, minimal loafers. Maya laughed again, but this time it folded into a sob. Owen. I reached into my jacket pocket and took out the small box. The corner had dented slightly from being crushed against my ribs, but the necklace inside was fine. When I opened it, the little silver compass caught the late sun. Her hand flew to her mouth. You once said you didn't need someone to carry you, I told her. Just someone who could find you. I know we have a lot to talk through, Boston, us, Monday. Loafer disease. But I want to be someone you let find you. Maya stared at the necklace like it was a language she hadn't known she missed. Then she turned around and lifted her hair. It was such a simple gesture, intimate in a way that made my breath catch. I fastened the chain at the nape of her neck, my fingers brushing warm skin. She shivered, and not from cold. When she faced me again, the compass rested just below her collarbone. How does it look? She asked softly. Like trouble. Her eyes sparkled. Good trouble. The kind I'd follow to Massachusetts if we talked about it first. The smile she gave me was small and stunned. You'd consider that. I'd consider a lot of things for the woman I love. But I need to be invited into the decision, Maya, not informed after the toast. I know, she placed her palm over the compass. No more managing you, no more disappearing. I'll still disappear into my own head sometimes. I brought snacks. She rose onto her toes and kissed me, slow and sweet, her hand sliding up my chest. I kissed her back with the kind of relief that felt almost dangerous. We were not fixed, but we were facing the same direction. When we finally returned to the party, our hands were linked. Denise saw the necklace first, then our faces. Something like relief crossed hers. Maya's father approached with 2 cupcakes. There she is, Boston's favorite graduate. Maya's grip tightened, but this time she didn't freeze. "Dad," she said, "please stop announcing my life before I finish living it." He blinked. "I was just proud." "I know, but Owen should have heard it from me." Her father looked at me, then at our joint hands. "I made a mess." "A little," I said. Maya nudged me. "Diplomatic. I'm growing," her father sighed. "I'm sorry, son." The apology was awkward but sincere. I accepted it because Maya was watching, and because love, I was learning, required letting people repair things badly at first. We made it through the next hour. Cake, photos, Aunt Carol confirming my ankles were acceptable. Maya stayed beside me, not glued there, not performing, just returning to me between conversations with little touches. Fingers at my elbow, a smile across the yard, her thumb brushing the inside of my wrist. Each one said, "I'm here." Each one helped me believe it. Near dusk, we slipped onto the front porch with 2 slices of cake balanced on paper plates. It felt almost like a date, if dates came with relatives peering through curtains. Maya stole frosting from my slice with her fork. "You have your own," I said. "Yours tastes less guilty." "That's not science. I have a master's degree now." "Everything I say is science." I fed her a bite from my plate and she closed her eyes dramatically. "Peer-reviewed," she said. I laughed and she leaned her shoulder against mine. For a few minutes, Boston was just a city. Monday was just a day. The future was not solved, but it was no longer a locked room. Then Maya's phone buzzed again. She didn't hide it. She set it on the porch step between us so we both could see. Another message from the unknown number. "If he knows, the offer gets complicated. Call me before you ruin this." Maya stared at the phone for a long moment. Then she picked up her fork and took another bite of my cake. I blinked. "That's your response." "I'm calibrating. With frosting. Sugar is a strategic resource." She looked calm, but her knee pressed against mine under the porch swing, tense and trembling. I covered it with my hand. Maya looked down at my fingers on her leg, then up at me. "I'm not calling him from a place of panic." "Good. I'm not letting him make you the problem." Also good. And I'm not pretending that message didn't scare me. There she was, honest even when it cost her. I turned my hand palm up on her knee. She slid her fingers into mine. "What does complicated mean?" I asked. "I don't know, that's what scares me." She breathed out slowly. "The fellowship comes with housing for 6 months, a stipend, and a placement with a community health initiative. It's everything I've worked for. If he has any influence," he said, "he's alumni relations, not your supervisor. He also has friends everywhere. People like Callum don't need official power. They collect favors." The porch door opened behind us and Denise stepped out with a trash bag in one hand. She saw our faces and stopped. "Maya?" Maya held up the phone. "Callum is texting me." Denise's expression hardened in a way that told me she knew exactly who Callum was and wished she didn't. "What did he say?" Maya handed her the phone. Denise read it, then muttered something under her breath that sounded deeply unchurch-like. "Mom." I said what I said. Despite everything, I laughed. Denise looked at me. "You're still here." "Yes, ma'am." "I'm glad." Then to Maya, "You need to call the fellowship director, not him." Maya's shoulders dropped a fraction, like permission had been given to do the thing she already knew was right. "Dr. Annika Shah." "Yes, you still have her email. And her office line." "Good." Denise handed the phone back. "And Maya, what? Stop letting men with nice shoes convince you your joy needs their approval." Maya's eyes filled again. Denise touched her cheek, gentle now. "That includes your father when he gets excited and foolish. That includes Callum. That includes anyone." Then she went back inside, leaving the porch door to click softly shut. I sat very still. Maya looked at me. "You're quiet." "I'm trying not to be offended on behalf of my shoes." A surprised smile broke through. "Your shoes are fine." "Fine?" "Solid, dependable, like a tax refund." That is the least sensual compliment I've ever received. She leaned closer, her mouth brushing my ear. I like taking them off you. My brain emptied completely. Maya drew back, pleased with herself for about half a second before nerves returned to her face. I squeezed her hand. Call Dr. Shaw. Will you stay? Yes. No, I mean, she swallowed. Not as backup, not as a witness. Just because I want you here while I stop being afraid. That reached deeper than any plea for protection could have. I'll stay because you asked me to, I said. She nodded and dialed before she could lose her nerve. Doctor. Shaw didn't answer, but Maya left a message that was calm, clear, and so professional I wanted to applaud. Hello, Dr. Shaw, this is Maya Ellis. I'm calling because I received a couple of concerning messages from Callum Reeves regarding my fellowship offer and my personal relationship. I wanted to speak with you directly to confirm there are no restrictions or expectations I've misunderstood before Monday. Thank you. She hung up and exhaled like she'd been underwater. That was impressive, I said. I almost threw up on your cake. I would have understood but grieved. She laughed, then tipped sideways until her head rested on my shoulder. The porch swing creaked under us. Inside plates clattered, and someone called for more coffee. Out in the yard, the string lights had finally found their reason, glowing soft and gold against the dusk. Maya touched the compass at her throat. Do you really mean it? Which part? That you'd consider coming with me. I looked at the street, at the parked cars, at the last pink strip of sky over the rooftops. I mean, I'd consider what our life looks like if your dream is in Boston, I said. I can't promise instant answers. My job is here. My lease is here. My brother borrows my tools and returns them haunted. Haunted tools are serious, but I'm not allergic to change. I turned to her. I'm allergic to being left out. She absorbed that. I don't want a boyfriend I have to shrink my dreams for. I don't want you shrunk. And I don't want a boyfriend I have to drag behind me. I'm very portable when motivated. Her smile warmed. Owen, I want to walk beside you, I said, even if we're still figuring out the map. She reached up and touched my cheek. That's the most Owen Carter sentence anyone has ever said. Practical and emotionally delayed, steady, she corrected. Careful with the things you love. My chest tightened. You are one of those things. The look she gave me was soft enough to undo the whole day. She kissed me on the porch swing, slow and lingering, one hand curling around the back of my neck. There were relatives inside, her parents nearby, a suspicious aunt probably evaluating the structural integrity of my ankles through a window. And still Maya kissed me like privacy was something we made by choosing each other. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. I should have told you sooner, she said. Yes, I won't do that again, I believe you. Her eyes searched mine. Already? No, not completely. I brushed my thumb over her knuckles, but enough to stay and build the rest. That made her breath catch. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. I expected my brother, maybe a work message. Maybe a photo from someone at the party. Instead, it was an email alert from Maya. She had forwarded me something. I looked at her. She flushed. I sent it before the party scheduled email for tonight at 8:00. Subject, before I get scared again. Maya, read it later, she said quickly. Or now, I don't know. It was my attempt at bravery before I replaced it with cowardice. I opened it. Owen, I got the fellowship in Boston. I haven't accepted yet because I need to tell you first, not ask permission, not make you responsible, but tell you because you matter to me. I love you. I am terrified of saying that and changing us, but not saying it has started to feel like lying. I want Boston. I want you. I don't know what that means yet, but I want to find out together if you do. I read it twice. The ache in me changed. It didn't vanish, but it softened around the edges. You tried, I said. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Too late, no. I folded her into me, my mouth against her hair. Messy, but not too late, she clung to me. For the first time all day, I let myself believe we might make it through this. not by avoiding hurt, but by telling the truth faster than fear could rewrite it. Inside, Maya's father began another toast despite widespread protest. Maya laughed wetly against my shirt. If he announces anything else, tackle him. Romantically, heroically. I was told protection isn't enough. She pulled back confused. What? Nothing. Inside, joke with the universe. Her phone rang then, vibrating hard on the porch step. Dr. Annika Shah. Maya looked at me. I handed her the phone and kissed her once gently. Together, she answered, voice steady. By the time she hung up, her face had gone unreadable again. What? I asked. Maya stared down at the compass necklace. Dr. Shah wants us both in Boston Monday morning. Both of us, I said. Maya nodded, phone still in her hand. Dr. Shah said Callum's messages were inappropriate. She wants to speak with me in person before orientation, and she said, if he's trying to make my relationship sound like a conflict, she'd rather meet the relationship. I stared at her. I'm the relationship. You are very relational. I don't know if I packed for being a noun. Maya laughed, but her eyes were scared, so I stopped joking and took her hand. Do you want me there? Yes. No hesitation. Not because I need you to fight him, because I want you beside me when I choose my own life. That answer settled everything in me. Then I'll be there. Her lips parted just like that. Not just like that. I'm going to panic buy travel toothpaste and overthink rental cars for 36 hours, but yes. She launched herself at me so fast the porch swing slammed backward. I caught her around the waist, laughing into her hair while she held on. I love you, she said. I love you too. This time the words didn't feel like a cliff, they felt like a bridge. Monday morning, we walked into the Whitcomb Foundation building in Boston together. Callum Reeves was exactly what I expected. Expensive haircut, soft loafers, smile polished smooth enough to slide off. He saw Maya first, then me, then the compass necklace at her throat. His smile thinned. Maya, you brought him. Maya's hand found mine, but she didn't hide behind it. I brought Owen, she said, because he's part of my life, not part of my application. Callum's gaze flicked to me. This opportunity requires focus. Some people don't understand what ambition costs. Maya smiled then, small and lethal. I do. It cost me a year with you. I nearly proposed on the carpet. Before Callum could answer, Dr. Annika Shah opened her office door. She was a petite woman with silver glasses and the posture of someone who had never once been successfully intimidated. Mr. Reeves, she said, my assistant needs you in conference room 3. His face tightened. Of course. And Callum, Dr. Shah added, do not contact Ms. Ellis again outside official channels. There it was, not a courtroom scene, not a dramatic takedown, just a door closing on a man who had mistaken proximity for power. Inside Dr. Shah's office, Maya explained everything. The delayed confession, the texts, the fear that accepting Boston meant losing me. I sat beside her, quiet unless asked. Watching the woman I loved choose honesty over old habits, Dr. Shah listened, then folded her hands. Ms. Ellis, your offer is yours. It was earned by your work, not granted by Mr. Reeves. Your personal relationship is not a liability to this fellowship. Maya exhaled so hard her shoulders shook. Dr. Shah's eyes softened. But I'll say this as someone who moved 3 times for her career and once for love. Never build a future where your success requires secrecy from the person you want beside you. Maya looked at me. I won't, she said. Afterward, we walked along the Charles River with coffees we were too to drink. Boston glittered around us, all brick and traffic and water flashing under the sun. Maya stopped at the railing. I'm accepting. I know you're not mad. I'm proud. I nudged her shoulder and scared. I contain multitudes, remember. She looked down at the compass. What about us? I took her coffee and set both cups on the railing, then faced her fully. Here's what I know. I love you. I don't want a relationship built on assumptions. So we talk. We plan. We try long distance for a little while. I'll talk to my company about remote work or a transfer. You'll do your fellowship without apologizing for being brilliant. And every time one of us gets scared, we say it before it becomes a napkin. Maya's eyes shimmered. That is a very specific relationship policy. I'm drafting bylaws. Will there be snacks? Mandatory. She rose on her toes and kissed me beside the river, cold coffee forgotten. Her hands tucked into my jacket as if she had always belonged there. 3 weeks later, I helped her move into a tiny Boston apartment with crooked floors and one heroic radiator. I stayed 4 days, fixed a cabinet door, met her new cohort, and learned that Boston drivers viewed turn signals as personal weakness. Then I flew back to Nashville. Long distance was not cinematic. It was missed calls, delayed flights, bad moods, and falling asleep on video chat with one of us drooling attractively into a pillow. It was also Sunday morning coffee dates over FaceTime, mailed cookies, voice notes, and Maya sending me pictures of the compass necklace in every place she was brave. In October, my company offered me a hybrid position, coordinating projects in the Northeast. I pretended to think about it for 2 responsible days before saying yes. By the following spring, we had a little apartment together in Somerville. Maya kept a color-coded calendar on the fridge. I kept emergency snacks in 3 drawers. We fought sometimes, but differently, faster, kinder. No disappearing for days inside our own heads. No making fear sound like strategy. And Denise's 5-word napkin, Maya framed it. Not in the living room, thank God. In the hallway by the door, where we saw it every morning before stepping into the world. Tell him before Boston does. Underneath it, Maya taped a second note in her own handwriting. Tell her before fear does. 1 year after that graduation party, we went back to Nashville for another family barbecue. Aunt Carol checked my ankles again and declared them still viable. Maya's father toasted only after receiving written permission from his daughter. That evening, Maya and I stood in the same side yard where everything had almost broken open. The hydrangeas were blooming again. The string lights glowed above us. She touched the compass at her throat. You found me. I wrapped my arms around her from behind and kissed the side of her neck. You let me. She turned in my arms, smiling that real smile that had ruined me slowly and saved me all at once. And when she kissed me under those lights, it didn't feel like the end of a secret. It felt like the beginning of a life we had finally agreed to tell each other the truth about. What would you have done if your partner's parents slipped you a 5-word note you were never supposed to read? Have you ever experienced something similar, where you found out a huge relationship secret from someone else? Tell me your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.